Today's lesson will focus on a common mistake in a lot of first drafts, mainly writing a paragraph where one idea jumps to the next. The first sentence could be about one idea. The second could be about something completely different, but somehow related. How do we connect these ideas and make our essay flow? The answer is transition words. Transition words are words usually at the beginning of a sentence that link ideas together in a paragraph. These words fall into two groups. If you want to add on ideas or tie ideas together, you can use words such as in addition, also, besides, and for example. If you wanted words that concluded an idea or ended an idea, you can use words such as therefore, thus, in conclusion, and finally. These aren't all the transition words available, but they are a good example of the transitions you can use to link ideas together. Now, in order to connect related ideas in our essay, we need to first reread your supporting details. Then, look for places where you jump from one detail to the next. Then, use transition words to connect ideas. And finally, reread your essay to make sure it flows together nicely. So first, let's reread the supporting details. I'm going to use the second paragraph of the essay as an example. I'll reread the details looking for places where I jump from one detail to the next. Let's see. Oh, okay, here's the first. I think I found one. Look at the end of the third sentence and the beginning of the fourth sentence. The third sentence is talking about how not can't exist by day. The fourth sentence talks about how not is always changing. So here is where one idea is jumping to another. Though they're related, they're both separate ideas that need a transition to flow together better. Now here's another. Look at the end of the fourth sentence and the beginning of the fifth. The fourth sentence talks about how not is always changing. The fifth talks about how not goes away when you wake up. Again, two ideas that are somewhat related, but separate. They need a transition to flow together. Now finally, the beginning of the very last sentence. That last sentence is restating the topic sentence. So we need a transition here to tell the reader that we're ending this reason and moving on to the next one. Okay, so we've identified where the ideas jump. It's time to put the transition words to connect these ideas. Here are the transition words again. I think for the first two gaps, we'll need words that add on, since we're connecting ideas. For the last sentence, we'll need a word that concludes, so that we're ending the idea and moving on. Here's the paragraph again, with the transition words added to it in blue. In the first gap, I placed the word also in the fourth sentence to connect the third and fourth sentences. I also placed the words in addition in the fifth sentence to connect the fourth and fifth sentence. So they're both words that add on. Lastly, I placed a concluding word, therefore, at the beginning of the last sentence to signal the end of the idea and the beginning of the next reason. Now I need to reread to make sure it flows together nicely. If I am going to live somewhere for the rest of my life, it has to be a real place, not a land of dreams. In stanza 4 of The Land of Nod, the narrator says that try as I like to find my way, I never can get back by day. If you can't get there by day, how could Nod be real? Also, since there's always something new to see each time you go, Nod must be changing all the time, which can't be real because the real world doesn't change that fast. In addition, everything in Nod goes away when you wake up. Therefore, why would I want to spend the rest of my life in an imaginary place? Notice how the sentences not only flow together better now, but they also tie to the topic sentence. The transitions make a stronger paragraph. Now here's the entire essay with the transition words added in blue. Now here's the second paragraph which we worked on already. In the third paragraph I added for example to introduce a detail that builds on a previous example. The knowledge that the sun will be up in the morning makes the real world a good place to live in. And I also use the word furthermore to connect ideas. And in the last two paragraphs, I added concluding words for transition. So therefore, and in the last paragraph, in conclusion. Now, one thing to remember, transition words are used to connect ideas that don't necessarily connect together very well. They don't have to connect every single sentence. Sometimes I don't need to connect anything, and a transition isn't necessary. Just make sure to reread the whole piece once you're done to make sure the essay flows together nicely. So now you've revised your work using transition words. And the last thing you need to do is to edit for spelling, grammar, and punctuation. And remember, in order to connect related ideas in your essay, you need to first reread your supporting details, then look for places where you jump from one detail to the next, then use transition words to connect ideas, and finally, reread your essay to make sure it flows together nicely. In this lesson, you have learned how to connect related ideas by using transition words.